Hey everyone, in this video, Jordan Peterson explains to Matt Dillahunty why he acts as if God exists, even if Dillahunty doesn't want to believe it. We break this video down in this first part of our two-part series of Peterson challenging Dillahunty on his moral system. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Artists and poets?
Well, there are artists and poets who think they're godless.
Ooh, starting off spicy here. Yeah, people really don't like this point by Peterson, but we'll break it down as he gets to it. But yeah, already sparks flying here.
So we might have crossed over into a problem area because
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't actually, I can't draw for crap, although I do draw during the show. But one of the individuals who came to the show the other night handed me something that she had spent a great deal of time drawing. She's a wonderful artist. I'm very grateful to get it. And, you know, while I pretend to read minds on stage, I constantly acknowledge that I can't actually read minds. So I can't tell you whether or not she actually believes in a God, but I can tell you that I actually don't believe in a God, and I could write
But you act
poetry.
like you do.
Huh?
But you act like you do. That's why you didn't
I
want to throw
act
poor
like-
Sam off the stage.
There you go. Had to let the joke fly there. Yeah, so this is the thing. This is the thing with Jordan Peterson. When most people say the word believe, they think you mean consciously, like think something is true. When Jordan Peterson says believe, he means he expects you to put it into action. It's actually really interesting. There's a religious debate over whether salvation comes in faith or good works. I've always thought that debate was kind of weird because I think that genuine faith necessitates good works because otherwise you don't really believe it. I think what Peterson is saying is that he agrees with that reading. He agrees that if you act as if there's a God, then that's because you believe in a God, whether or not you're consciously aware of that belief. But that is a very inflammatory thing to say to a Matt Dillahunty public avowed atheist. So let's see where this goes.
No, now you're making a claim. Okay, so I'm telling you I don't believe there's a God. And
Yeah.
your response to that is, I really do, because I have a moral sense. But my moral sense is utterly without any appeal to a God.
Explicitly.
He beat me by 1 second. I have watched this argument before, but it's been a long time. I watched it like multiple years ago. I swear to God, I was going to say explicitly. That's amazing. Okay, we'll let it keep going. We'll skip my reaction because Peterson did it for me.
Or implicitly.
Maybe.
The
That's not so obvious.
Okay, it's really,
See,
it's
because
easy.
you regard Sam Harris as an implicitly valuable entity. Because otherwise you just throw him off the stage. And then the question is, well, just exactly why is he an implicitly valuable entity?
I don't
What's your
think he's-
metaphysics of that?
I don't.
By the way, so just for a little bit of religious context here, it's one of like the big things about Christianity that I actually like. Again, if you're not familiar with me, I'm in a Petersonian position. I'm not exactly devout, but I find myself defending religion all the time. Is it not the case that Christianity's one of their first, not commandment, one of their first teachings is that man is made in the image of God, and therefore we are inherently valuable. Feels like kind of a presupposition to me, but we're going to see what Dillahunty says here.
I think he's implicitly valuable in the sense,
See?
I don't think he's implicitly valuable in the sense that the universe has implied that there's something explicit about it. For me, morality is far simpler than some people.
Now, wait,
make
you
it
sounded
out to be.
doubtful about that. You know, that like
Maybe you're the mind reader.
Peterson's psychoanalyst. For those who don't know, Peterson was a clinical psychologist. I don't know if he still is. He got into a spat with the college about it, but he's doing a little bit of clinical psychologist stuff with the mind reading. Dillahunty's noticing.
You've been,
Sure,
well, maybe.
Because you've already suggested that despite me sitting here and having talked about this for decades, that I don't believe in God, that I actually do because I have a moral code. But my moral code, which I've
Well, I was
talked
more
about,
specific. I said it was because you didn't want to throw Sam off the stage. It
Yes,
wasn't
but
just
you
that
didn't.
had a
You didn't
moral code.
You didn't even attempt to ask me why I didn't throw Sam off the stage.
Dillahunty's getting a little bit upset right now. You could see Peterson was smiling earlier. I think Peterson is gonna chill out. I think he's realized that Dillahunty's like no longer having fun. being a bit of a gadfly there, Peterson. Usually he's much more chill. I think this was earlier on. But yeah, it's kind of interesting social dynamics and tensions underneath the intellectual content. It's an interesting thing to pay attention to, because as much as we talk about these people ideas and put them up on a pedestal, fundamentally, they're just people too.
Stage. Instead, you went to why do you think Sam has implicit value? Because it
Okay,
seems
so,
that in
okay,
your narrative,
I'm willing
that's
to go
the
there.
only justification.
Well, maybe you were afraid of being punished.
I think you no.
Oh,
I think
okay.
you can have a perfectly acceptable foundation for secular morality, even if it fundamentally centers around selfishness. I'd rather not be thrown off the stage. It's in my best interest to encourage that sort of understanding in others, and therefore I will not throw him off the stage. I would rather not have my stuff stolen, and it's in my best interest to encourage others not to do that, so I will not steal stuff, and I will work with others to ensure that the people who steal stuff are punished. It is in a virtually pragmatic moral system.
Why do you think it's not in your best interest to have stuff stolen from you or to be thrown off the stage?
So two things here. I'm not really convinced that moral systems that are purely pragmatic are actually moral, right? I think that you're almost abusing the term moral system. I understand what he means, but that's just one thing there. If everything you're doing is just motivated by self-interest and you're not doing anything because it's right, but just because it's convenient for you, calling that a moral system is a bit of a stretch. But sure, granted, we'll give him that. The second thing is, I don't know if Peterson's going to bring this up. It looks like he's going a different direction. But the second thing with that is that it only applies if... So Dillahunty says is like, I want to encourage that sort of behavior in others. But like there's two major assumptions there. Number one is that him doing the thing will actually encourage others to do the thing, which until like really civilized societies formed wasn't true. In like now, sure, because we have police and law and stuff like that. But you know, back in the Wild West days, not the actual Wild West, but figurative Wild West, just because you were like a moral person who wouldn't kill or steal would not really stop people from doing it to you. And your odds of cooperating with others like a police force might not be effective. So that's number one, is that Dillahunty's system breaks down the second you're outside of civilized society. And then reason two, as part of this second reason, that is that he's assuming he wants to encourage that because he would rather not be stolen from. But again, that's kind of assuming that he can't prevent it from himself, right? So the reason he'd want to encourage people not to be stolen and cooperate with other people to make that stop happening would be because he doesn't really want to deal with preventing it himself. Now, I get that. In the Hobbesian state of nature, even the strongest guy kind of wants some order because anyone can knife you in the back. But for little stuff, like, you know, little slights or little stealing, the consequences, unless you believe in something like a metaphysic, like karma, or like walking towards the kingdom of God is the best path, something like that, a lot of the times there's really no way those consequences can come around and bite you. So, and then the third thing is that even in civilized society, you're putting like a lot of stock in your ability to encourage behavior in others, like a lot of stock. And I don't know if all that stock is actually all that warranted. You kind of have to assume it if you want to believe what Dillahunty believes. But yeah, those are three kind of big problems. But I think Peterson's going to hit him on an even more fundamental level, philosophically below the belt, let's say. So let's see what happens there.
It's not in your best interest to have stuff stolen from you or to be thrown off the stage.
Why is it not in my best interest?
Yeah. No, you don't get to think, oh, that's self-evident. It's like nothing's self-evident to the skeptic. Let's keep that in mind.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Well, so...
Because if we're going to get skeptical here, we might as well go all the way to the bottom.
So
It is a worthwhile question to ask. Well, I don't know what Dillahunty's answer is going to be, but that he's right. If we're in this world where we're trying to blow up everything and just start from like, I don't know, pure rationality somehow, yeah, let's go all the way there, guys.
For Sam and I, the foundations, and we're not the only ones, but I tend to reference Sam just because if I say this, then somebody will say, well, that's exactly what Sam Harris says, except that, you know, I was given this lecture before he wrote his book. But but his book is better than my lecture, so read his book. When I talk about this, I'm talking about well-being is the language that Sam uses.
Oh,
I don't.
yeah.
I don't.
Sad.
What is a woman?
Peterson was like way funnier in this conversation than he was with Harris. He just says it's sad. I think there's another clip regarding well-being, but you'll have to find out. You'll have to watch a different video for that. So hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that reaction video. If you did, drop a like and please consider subscribing to see more. If you didn't, tell me why. I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. I want to have these conversations. If you want to see the rest of my content or explore the broader Pangburn universe that I'm a part of, click one of the buttons that should be floating around my head right about now. And as always, I hope to see you all out there engaging in the war of ideas.